Okay, so this week what we're going to do is we're going to make a movie app. We're going to basically create a simple application where we can add movies to a list. It's very simple, but we're going to be doing it in such a way that it's going to be held in a collection. It's not going to be stored into a database. So later on, we will actually take that data and move it into a database. But for right now, I really want to get the basic functionality of like adding an item to a list and then storing that. So I'm going to just get to my virtual machine and going to just kind of cover where I'm currently at. So what I did was I cleaned up my desktop. You may or may not have. We had the glibfish icons that we were previously using. I just went into the glibfish icons and I basically looked for the magnifying glass and then I looked for the cloud. And then what I did is I renamed the magnifying glass to find and I renamed the cloud to add. And I'm going to actually do both of those with all lowercase. So find and add are glibfish icons. And if you don't have those on your desktop or in your garbage, then you're going to want to go back to the date night week and then actually download glibfish again. So those are the icons that I'm using. I'm just going to use these two. So basically, if I want to add a movie to the database, I'm just going to plug it in and then add it in. And after it's added, then I can search for it and find it. But for phase one, what we're doing right now is we're actually not going to store it into a database. We're just going to store it into a collection. So I started up my Visual Studio and I created a movie app, and that's basically where I'm at. I just started it, typed in the name movie app. It's just an empty application, so you should know where we're at this point. So what I want to do is I want to create a folder to store my views in. So I'm going to do two different views. I'm going to do one view is going to be my find, and then the other view is going to be my add. So I'm going to create a folder. And then within this folder, I'm just going to call it views. And then within my views, I'm going to add new file. And it is going to be forms, and it is going to be the XAML content page. So I want to create one called add page. And then I want to create another one that is going to be called content page. That's going to be my find page. Okay, so I've got my add page, I've got my find page, and then what I also want to do is I want to create a custom folder. I'm going to do a lot more work in this app, so I'm going to create a folder called custom. Actually, I'm going to capitalize that. It doesn't matter. This is only for your own organization. So what I want to end up doing is I actually want to create a tab layout class. So in my custom, I'm going to add a new class. So a new file, general, empty class, and then I'm just going to call this thing tab layout. And I want to pull in my using statement because it's going to be a tab page. And so it's going to need the Xamarin.Forms. And then I can inherit from my tab page. There's my tabbed page. So then here I'm going to add in two pages. One's going to be my add, and the other one's going to be my find. So children dot add, and then it's going to be a new, oops, try that again, new add. Okay, so I can't get add page without bringing in my using statement. My using statement is just because I put it inside views. So I'm going to go using. And then the app is called movie app. And then the folder within the movie app is called views. So after pulling in that using statement, now I can go to my add page. Children.add new, and then this is going to be my second page was find page. So I went through this pretty much in depth, the navigation with the date night. So if this is really confusing, like I don't really know what I'm doing, you may want to review that again. So add movie. Then I'm going to do another title. This one's going to be find movie. Alright, so then I'm going to want to add in my icons. So for my Android is going to go resources drawable. I'm going to add files. And then on my desktop, I'm going to grab both of these. I'm going to add them. Copy them. You always want to copy and not move because we're going to need to do it again for iOS. Underneath resources, I'm going to add files. Grab them. Open, copy them. Okay, so now I've got my icons. So I am going to go icon, add, and then I'm going to do my other icon, find, and I'm going to save this. So what I want to do is my tab layout is inside my custom folder, and what I want to do is I want to tap that in to my app, XAML.cs. All right, so this is the first thing that fires up. So it's loading up this movie app page, which is this page, which we haven't done anything with at all. Matter of fact, I'm just going to delete this page because we're going to use our own views within the view folder. So I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to delete it. Now it should like red underline this because it doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to delete this. And what I want to do is I want to use that, oops. I want to use that tab page. And the tab page is actually called tab layout. It's in my custom folder. Because it's in my custom folder, I need to pull in a using. So I'm going to go with the name of the application is movie app dot custom. Once I pull in that namespace, I now can go tab layout. Okay, so my tab layout should automatically pull in the two pages. So I'm just going to run this and see if my icons show in the tab named show. Those are the two things that I'm really looking for. Okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for, the add movie and find movie. Still need to click twice, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, so I want to set these pages up now. So I'm going to work on the add movie layout here. So at this point, just going to stop. I'm going to go to my views. I'm going to go to my add page XAML. First thing I'm going to do is add my padding. And I'm going to just do my 2020, 2020. And just for simplicity, I'm going to go with the stack layout. And then inside the stack layout, I just want to have add movie title. So a label, text is going to be add movie title. And then underneath that, I'm going to have an entry. And I'm going to give it a name. And I'm just going to call this thing TXT movie title. So I'm just going to kind of stub this thing out. All right, so I need a title. I'm going to need a rating, so I'm going to do another label. All right, I'm going to do an entry. Oops, let's try that again. Going to give it a name, and that's going to be TXT movie rating. And then I'm going to add in a button. And I'm just going to say text, add new movie. Okay, so I know this is not going to be perfect, but this, excuse me, is a starting place. So I'm just gonna run this, see what that looks like. Okay, it's not too bad. I actually think I'm just gonna bump that down a little bit. So we're gonna want a grid in here, and I'm probably just gonna bump that down. All right, so I'm just going to put it at 100. And then let's go to my find page. So with my find page, I actually want to use a list of movies. So it's actually going to be a list view is the control. And the list view is actually really easy compared to the way we used to do it. So my list view, I'm going to give it a name. And the name is going to be LST movies. Yeah, as we move forward with this, I'll kind of explain the way that this works and the way that we used to do it. So I'm just going to run this. Okay, so I've got to add movie, and then I've got my list here. So the list kind of looks a little funky in the simulator, but it is there. So Okay, so I'm going to put a click event on this. This looks pretty good. So I've got my button here. My ad page SAML. And on my ad page, I've got a button here. I've got clicked. And then I'm just going to call this thing Add Movie. Add Movie clicked. Then I'm going to go here, make sure I change the name of that to match the Add Movie clicked. So the main thing I want to do now is I need to create basically a data model that's going to store the movie that I want to persist. So I'm going to go, I don't really want to put that into my custom. Typically my data, if I'm creating a class for data, I put that in a models folder. So I'm just going to go new folder. I'm going to call it models. And then I'm going to add a new class. It's going to be an empty class. And then I'm just going to call this thing movie. So, oops, movie. So any type of data model, I normally name it as a single, like a movie, not movies, because it's going to be a single representation of one movie. I may have a collection, and then I may call a collection movies, but if it's just one movie, it's a movie. So as we work through this, I think it'll become a little bit more clear for you. Okay, so I've got a movie here, and I've got a constructor. Technically, I don't need the constructor. Matter of fact, I'm just going to delete the constructor. Okay, I need a unique ID, so I'm going to create some properties. prop tab tab. The first one is going to be an integer. All right, so it's going to be kind of like my auto num, and I'm just going to call this thing ID. That's my unique identifier. Z. Prop tab tab. So my second one is going to be a string. And the string is actually going to be title. It's the title of the movie. Get some weirdness going on here. Prop. Tab tab. Okay, and then I'm going to need another string. Jeez. String. Rating. Okay. So I've got my property set. So sometimes you actually see properties laid out like this, and actually I prefer them laid out like this, but it's so easy to just type prop tab tab to get it automatically filled in. And who knows, sometime in the near future they may just change it to do this. So you can do them single lines like that, which is actually really nice. So you just have a getter and a setter. So I'm just gonna, so I've got a movie title, movie rating, and an automatic ID or something like that. All right, so I'm going to save that. So this is my data model. So this is going to be how I persist the data. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to store these movies where I can get to them from both views. Before, in a previous app, the Date Night app, we talked about this app.xaml. So we're going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to come over to the app.xaml, and then we can actually make a class level variable. Now before, what we did was we actually created a class that had properties, and we stored everything into the properties. What I want to do is I actually want to make a generic list. So I'm going to just add in a using statement. So with generics, it's system.generic, system.collections, collections.generic. There we go. So this can give us a list of items, and that's really what I want. So I'm pulling in the collections namespace, and then that's going to allow me to create a public static. So we always got to do a static when we're going to make it available. Excuse me. Static list. And then what I want to do is I want to make a list of movies. All right, so I can't get to movie until I pull in my models. So I'm going to pull in another using movie app. .models. So now I've got movie. Okay, so I've got a list of movie, and I'm just going to call this thing movie list. Okay, and then what I want to do is movie list is going to be equal to a new, I saw it there too, new, alright, whatever, list, movie, open, closing, parens, semicolon. Okay, so now I'm creating that movie list. So now I've got a public movie list. And what I want to do is I want to go back over to my ad. On my ad page, what I want to do here, instead of having that exception, I want to get rid of the exception. And then I need to actually create a new movie now. So I need to get to my model. So I'm going to add in another using statement. And this is my movie app dot model. So within my models is my movie. So now what I can do is I can just create a variable, and I'm just going to call it new movie. I'm going to make that equal to a new instance of my movie class, and then new movie dot title. Boy, it's going to be equal to whatever was inside my txt movie title dot text property. So I'm loading that into this object, and then I've got my new movie dot rating is going to be equal to my txt movie rating dot text. Okay, so I'm just kind of filling that stuff up. Now what I want to do is I want to add this new movie to the actual movie list, the collection that's stored within the app. So I'm going to go app dot movie list dot add new movie. So now I'm adding that movie to the list. And then just for user interface, what I want to do is I just want to clear out both text boxes. So I'm going to go txt title.text. is equal to string dot empty txt movie rating dot text is equal to string dot empty. Okay, so at this point, I'm filling my model up and everything's good. Now I'm getting data. So what I want to do now is I want to go over to my find page. Now my find page only has this movie list. So I just want to kind of show this a little bit. I'm going to go Xamarin Forms views. And I know I've been here before, and I showed this to you before. All right, so we talked about pages and layouts. There's actual cells here. So within one of the views that we have available to us is this this list view. So within that list view, we can add things. Search bar, sidebar, stepper. There's different views here. Picker, list, here's our list view. So within the list view, you can actually have it so that way you can have an image, or you can put different things in there. There's different layouts you can do. You can even make your own custom layout. But for the most part, the layouts are pretty straightforward. So the list view is made up of cells, and this used to be unbelievable. I mean, this is so bizarre. So you can scroll this, and what happens is it keeps adding new items below. To make it very fast and make it so that way it's not heavy in memory, it's got, I'm just going to say for argument's sake here, it's got like 10 available, and then it's got like 2 off the screen above and 2 off the screen below. And as you scroll, it actually recycles. So it takes them off the top, throws them on the bottom, fills data into them, and then displays it. Because let's just say you've got like 100,000 records, and you want the user to be able to scroll through 100,000 records. You don't want to fill up all of these cells. You don't want to fill 100,000 cells with data, otherwise your phone will run out of memory. So what it's doing is it's only doing, like 14, like the 10, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And then as you're scrolling, you're just pulling from a database and putting it into a cell, throwing it through, and then it gets displayed once it comes up at the top. It actually then gets thrown to the bottom. And we used to actually have to like clear that data, throw new data in, and then pass it up. It's all done for us now. I mean, this is so simple. Truly, the amount of code that I had to write for this to work was insane. This is really nice now. So there are cells that we can use. There's different types of cells. So you have a text cell. Text cell's pretty straightforward. You've got like a bold title, and then you've got a subtitle. You've got something that's big and then something that's small. So that's going to be your text and your detail. So those are the 2 properties that you have. You also have like an image cell, and then your image cell both has like the text and the detail again, but it also has an image property. So that's the way that works. You can do switches. You can do an entry, so that way people can like type in. So there's different cells available. So we actually have to define the cell we want to use. And sometimes you may have something custom. I know I've written apps where I've wanted to click on it and have a menu slide out from underneath, and then you can manipulate it, click on it again, and have it slide up. Stuff like that's more complicated, and then you have to basically write your own cell template. But you can do that. So really you're not limited to just these options, but these are the most common. Typically, you're going to see people with things like this, and you're going to see people with things like this. These are probably the most common ones that you're going to see. And for us today, we're just going to go with something like this for now, just to get used to it. So anyways, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about how that works. So I want to go back over to the find page, and I'm going to go to my code behind on the find page. So as soon as this page loads, I want to pull data. All right, so I'm going to go to I want to do the override, the on appearing. So it's a protected override, and then it's an on, and then I see the on appearing, so I just select that. So as soon as this thing appears, what I want to do is I want to create basically a movie template. All right, so it's basically a data template that's going to define what cell we're going to use. So we had a bunch of different cells that we just were talking about a second ago over here. So we've got different cells that we can use. The data template basically needs to know, okay, I'm going to get data. How am I formatting this data and putting it into the list? So we're going to do this text cell, and we're going to basically, I don't know if this is going to show it. No, but that's okay. We're going to go through and create a template that's going to be using this text cell. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable, and I'm just going to call it movie template. And this is going to be a new instance of a data template. And then within the data template, I need to know what type I'm using. So I need to use a type of, and the type of is going to be a text cell. So then the next thing is I need to set my bindings. Now I need to make sure my bindings match up perfectly. I can't just make this up. So movie template has bindings. So I need to do set bindings. And I've got a text cell dot. And then really I want to either do my text property or my detail property. So the big bold one is my text property. So I'm going to set my binding of my text property to the string value of title. So this is where I'm saying we can't just make this up. Title is a title because within our model, we actually are using title here. So whatever I'm binding, whatever data I'm throwing at this list, it's saying this is going to be going into this property, the text property. And like we just were kind of talking about the text property is the bigger bold. So it's going to say like the blob. And then our detail will have like rated PG-13, something like that. Okay, so my text property is that. So I want to do it again. Movie template dot set bindings, or set binding, text cell dot, and then this is going to be my my detail. And then this is going to be rating. And just to like double check that, I'm going to go back over to my model here. And that is rating, capital R. So at this point, now we've got a template set up that defines how this data that's going to be thrown at this list is going to basically be applied. So I have a list called list movies, and the list movies is what's on the XAML right now. This is that list movies. We threw that movie list in the XAML. Okay, so list movies basically needs to know the item template. Item template is going to be equal to my movie template. That's what we just created here, movie template. So that's the item template. So then the next thing I need to do is give my movie item source, my movie list. So list movies dot item source is going to be equal to app dot movie list, and that's my generic collection of movies. So I created a list. I'm throwing it at the source. It's going to get all of that data. It knows where to put the pieces of data based upon the actual template that we created. So I'm just going to run this thing and see how this works. Oh, new movie. Let's try it like that, huh? Okay, so I'm just going to add in a movie. Just going to say The Blob. Let's just say that's rated PG. Add the movie. So if I come over here to my find, I see The Blob. I don't know why that took a second to appear. That kind of scared me a little bit. Rocky. I'm going to go PG, add it. Okay, so I see Rocky. And then The Fog. That's rated R. Okay, so anyways, I can find movies, I can add movies, I can't delete them or anything like that, but for right now that's not what I'm looking for. So I do want to talk a little bit about how the phone works. So if I hit the home button here, it actually takes my app and puts it into a hibernated state. It just basically shuts everything down, freezes it in memory. I can go to different apps and I can do whatever I want to do within that app. And then it loads the app so I can start it and whatever, stop it. If I go back over to my movie app and I go over to my movie list, find movies, they're all still there. So it's stored in there because it's stored in the application memory. All right. So that's this guy right here within my app. This variable is holding my movies, and it is going to persist as long as the application is in memory. So even though I hit the home button, I'm kind of killing it, but I'm not really killing it. I'm just putting it to the background. So if I were to double tap, I can see all of the movies that are in background. All right. So if I were to kill this by sliding it up, I actually killed it out of the background. And if I open up Movie App now, it actually is going to rerun this whole part. It's going to recreate my movie list, and then it's going to reinstantiate it. So now if I come back over to my app and I go to my Find Movies, it's empty now. All right, so that's the difference. Now, if I had a database and I was persisting it into a database, then it would hang around longer. Then it would actually stay around forever until I delete it out of the database. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to show how this works. And anyways, this is the app. Hopefully this worked for you.